Good evening. I'd like to call the Recreation Committee meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, March the 3rd, 2021, and the time is 5:30. Roll call, Ms. Lisa.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Present.
Councilman Durance Daniels. No response. Councilwoman Tanya.
Present.
We do have two who are present, Madam Chair, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Ms. Keys, could you give us a prayer, please?
Sure will, Madam Chair. Gracious Father, we thank you just for allowing us to be here just one more day, doing the business of the village. We appreciate you for this opportunity to be able to look at recreation and how it impacts our community and our residents. We ask you to be with us as we have great discussion and as we look to the future for the Village of Lincoln Heights. We ask you to be with our leader today, Ms. Phyllis Baber, being the leader of this committee. We ask you to be with her as she brings forth information and things that we can do within the village. It's these things that we ask in your son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I'd like a motion to accept the previous minutes with any correction from February the 3rd, 2020. 2021.
I motion that we accept the minutes from our previous recreation meeting, February 3rd, 2021.
And I second it. Okay, do we have any old business that we want to talk about?
Madam Chair, I know that we talked about a lot in our last meeting, and we looked at a lot of things that we wanted to do moving forward with recreation, some things that we wanted to kind of make annual events. I know we talked about Juneteenth, I think, and making something having to do with Lincoln Heights that we can do. We also looked at starting something that will be on an annual basis where we do maybe an outdoor cookout, like the whole community does a cookout and do things like that, have music. So just an outdoor event, not really led by the village, but encouraged by the village, perhaps, is my understanding. And so I think those things were very positive, and I didn't hear us talk about it in council, so I didn't know how you wanted to proceed with those things.
Well, to still do a function for Juneteenth and engage the community, that would be nice, I believe. And then I was thinking that, as it warmed up, then we could actually go out and maybe, keep the social distance, but talk with some of the residents to see what they would like to, what functions they would like to see happening in the community. I know that that we were doing, that there was a bunch of functions being put on for the month of August, as well as the Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So the Juneteenth, the celebration, would be something nice to do. But I would like to engage the residents to see exactly what they would like to do.
Right. I think it might be good for us, Madam Chair, to maybe either jot it down or write it down and put the calendar together of the events that we talked about Juneteenth, and then maybe either at council meeting or what have you, or some kind of way, just get the word out that I know I was going to do a survey for you. So, and I can still do that survey. And we can make that survey available to the residents where they can tell us what they want to do. Would you like for me to do that? Is that how you want to get the word out? Or I know a lot of people don't have technology, so they're not going to be able to do the survey, but I think we'll get a good amount of people to give us the information.
That sounds good, and maybe we could do it on flyer form, and then we could actually go out and hand them out and talk to the residents at the same time. I think that's going to be one of the key things that we really need to engage the residents and what they would like to see happen.
Do you know when the, Madam Chair, do you know when the newsletters go out? Do they go out monthly or do they go out quarterly?
No, I'm not for sure, but Miss Padrell, hi, Miss Padrell, how are you today? Do you know when our newsletter go out?
I do not know the official, but I know they have one in preparation now. So if you have something, it's perfect timing to put something in the newsletter now.
So, Ms. Keys, was you thinking about putting the survey in the newsletter?
I don't know. Yeah, hold on. I'm getting some feedback, so I'm not sure if it's okay. I don't know. I'm still getting it, but I don't know if it's enough room to put a full survey. So how many questions do you want? Or if we still don't want to do a link, but because we mailed that survey out, because we mailed that newsletter out to all of our residents, it might be good to have a little section where we have just a couple questions and maybe they can,
You could, I think that you could actually put it like on the back of the survey. I mean, on the back of the newsletter. Yeah, you could just add it.
I don't know how much space they've already used and how much space is available. I guess that's my concern. Because if we make it too small of a print, then our residents who might be have a hard time seeing it may not be able to see it too well. So we want to make it big enough that they can see it.
I think that if you just did something like this agenda,
Okay.
and you placed it on the back or even up front, on the side, wherever, just add it to it so that it'll go out with the newsletter. So we won't be spending any really extra money for postage, right, because the newsletter is going out anyway.
So would you like for me to just get with Ms. Powdrill to see if whoever's working on the newsletter, if we can figure out spacing to be able to get those questions out there, and then that way the residents can bring it back to us?
Right, as long as we can do it before the newsletter go out, and then we can actually put it in there. Okay. That sounds so horrible. I wonder how we can stop that. And Adam's gone.
I think it's Joyce's speaker that are doing that.
I'll mute it.
Okay.
Should be good now.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so I'll get with Ms. Powdrill and we'll and then find out when the newsletter is going out. And Ms. Chair, do we have specific questions that you want to ask? Because I'm just going to be asking some general questions. You know, what would you like to see, especially during COVID? If we have to do something socially distanced, what are some ideas or some things that you'd like to see as it pertains to recreation? But I didn't have anything else in mind specifically. So if you have something specific, and you and I are meeting today after this meeting as well. So maybe we can discuss it and then we can write down those items that we want to see on the survey, and then we can prepare to submit that. Is that cool?
That's fine.
Okay.
And old business, the Miss Powdrill, when you was talking about the Reds and their grant for Memorial Field, you had said that you was going to put that under economic development instead of recreation. May I ask why?
I put it under economic development in terms of, I was looking at Memorial Field as being a catalyst to economic development in that whole Lindy Corridor area. So that's why I put it there. And I also stated in my presentation to the village that there is definitely some overlap in categories. So recreation didn't have like its own perfect category. So that's where I put Memorial Field in that.
Well, Memorial Field is really recreation, so it should go under recreation.
It is still, Madam Chair, it's still under recreation. And I had 6 themes, which, as you recall, I did economic development, village operations, village infrastructure, stakeholder relationships, safety, and I'm missing one, I'm going blank on one, marketing and branding of the village. So those were the 6 top priorities of the village. And knowing that Memorial Field is a top priority of the village, I kind of see it as one of the jewels of the village, and I needed a place to put it. So I put it under economic development, but it is absolutely under recreation.
Yeah, it always has been.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
I was just wondering why you placed it under economic development.
I think too, Madam Chair, if you have gotten the chance to see how it's split out, that was one that we were talking about.
I can't hear you. You're muted.
Thank you. For some reason, I'm getting muted. I'm not muting myself, so I'm getting muted. So I apologize. But we talked about sometimes our committees will come together and do some work. And if I recall correctly, on the pillar chart that Ms. Paldrell had submitted, it does have both Recreation and Economic Development Committee. And so they are both there together. So the way I see it is that both committees will have to work together as we begin to look at what things will take place there on that site.
When you talk of the pillar chart, I haven't seen this chart.
Okay,
where is it located?
I'm thinking, I know I spoke to you briefly about getting your emails, and I'm thinking it came in an email form, and I'm not sure if you've gotten it because of that, but I'll be happy to share it with you. I know an Economic Development Committee, and that committee, we shared it out with that committee, and I know you're part of that committee as well. So if you haven't gotten it, I'll be happy to resend it, or ask Ms. Paldrell or even our clerk to print it out for you and put it in your mailbox. But it does indicate both Recreation and Economic Development Committee, both doing co-work as it pertains to Memorial Field.
Miss Lisa, when you get a chance, could you please print that out and put a hard copy in my mailbox so that I can see exactly what they're talking about, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So, do we have any new business that we'd like to talk about?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
And as it relates to Memorial Field, just sharing that we did have a conversation with Cincinnati Reds. It's just in the early phases. What they're looking is a community to invest in. And the meeting went well, and we'll see if there's an additional conversation. It's not a guarantee that we'll be selected, but it's for 2022. And then if we're selected, it will be an opportunity for the community to come together and talk about what they'd like to see. And within the community, not only just Memorial Field, but they could choose sites within the community as well. So that, and we will not have an answer for that until December of 2021.
Okay. We all know we need lights up there, and another another board for the scoring and stuff of that nature.
Mhm.
So was those one of the things that y'all talked about?
Oh,
The lighting.
Oh,
I was there, so there were a ton of stuff. We talked about a basketball court, we talked about a walking trail, we talked about bathrooms, we talked about expanding the concession stand, having a kind of area out front of the concession stand to kind of sit down and eat. We talked about benches, fencing, the ADA access, regrading the football field as well as the baseball field. We talked about the existing investment that we're getting ready to go. We threw everything at them, as much as we could throw at them. To hopefully we'll get a yes. I think they were impressed of where the village is going, and the opportunity. And Jamal did an outstanding job of presenting how he would sustain it and take care of the field. I talked about how I would push for, if we got the opportunity, I would push for a line item in the budget to help maintain and service on a regular basis, so we would have something long-term, because that was one of their issues, is that we did not display the ability to take care of the field if they had made such an investment. So we will see. Hopefully we will get to a yes. Well, we have a lot more work to do internally, the staff does, and bring it to a close into the village.
So did they talk about the last time that they did do work here in Lincoln Heights?
Yeah, they did talk about that. It was about 10 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they didn't go into great detail, but I it was definitely mentioned about 10 years ago or so. Mm-hmm. They really want to do work in Lincoln Heights. We have to follow the process like every other community.
So what exactly are they going to do with that YMCA? What are we going to do with the YMCA? What used to be the old high school or YMCA, whatever you want to call it? That land that's down there on Lindy, the building.
Madam Chair, we don't have specific plans right now for that, but we're getting ready to do in the process of doing a land use and market study. So that will help us frame out a path forward of what could be the possibilities of what we could do at that site. And that is that is under the economic development priority, under the pillar of commercial development. We've got so much stuff going on in the village. I mean, we can't tackle it all. But that is on the list under one of the priorities of under the priority of economic development.
So we were to replace some type of recreation, because we gave our pool area to the Princeton School District. We gave them all that hill behind their elementary school on Adams. So all the hill going down belongs to Princeton. So do you know, have anybody talked about the recreation that we're going to replace for that area we did give Princeton?
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I have not had any conversations regarding that. And in fact, I did not know that there was an agreement to do that. I can't speak to that. I wasn't here.
Okay.
I think it's worth having that conversation, because that was if I remember correctly, and it's been some years ago. So, but my recollection is that was a federal ruling that said that we had to replace, or we had to reinstitute so many feet of recreational space because of that whole sale, all of that was involved in that sale, for the new, where the new elementary school is. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, at some point in time, areas such as the pocket parks that the village had put some money into, there was some garden areas that the village owned some property that they gave over to the community to plant orchards and things like that. At one point in time, and I don't remember which village manager it was, but one of the previous village managers was supposed to then go and measure those properties that was given over at the time for Pocket Park, the basketball court that's next to Village Hall, a couple, maybe 1 or 2 gardens. I'm not exactly sure. But they were supposed to go measure that to see if it's satisfied. And that part, I don't know, because I wasn't on council, and that may have even been before you were even on council as well, if they had completed that. So I think maybe Ms. Mitchell will have a lot more information on that, because I think she may have been still here. So I do think it's something that we do need to look at to see if we actually sent up the notices showing whether or not we've satisfied that requirement. But I do know that there was an effort put in place to replenish that open space.
Okay, so that's our, was that our new business that we wanted to talk about?
I think that's something that we want to probably keep on our recreation agenda until we finally figure it out. And I think that from what I'm seeing with the work that's being done, with the whole, looking at the whole piece of things that are coming to the village, that we might have more opportunity to offer additional free spaces, because there's going to be some spaces, I'm thinking, along that corridor where the new highway was put in, that we can't develop. We can't put a home there, it's too small for a business, but we may want to make that green space an open space. So that may be some more opportunity. So I do think it's worth just keep having that conversation, finding out where we are and what we need to do to satisfy that.
Okay.
And maybe what has already been done to satisfy it. Because those things I don't know.
So who do we need to talk with?
I'm thinking that Ms. Mitchell might be a good resource to talk to, just because if my memory serves me correct, she's been around long enough. So she knew what happened with the sale. She knew the letter that came in that said that we had to provide that space back to the community. And I think she was one who was leading the charge on measuring what we've already done. I remember her having a lot of conversations about pocket parks and putting the basketball court up. So she might be a good person to start with. And then from there, of course, our new village manager then would then take the charge and see, are we short? Do we need more? If we need more, we got to find it within our spacing that we have.
So, so now we're under miscellaneous. What's going on with the park the garden up on Jackson Street? Is it going to still be a garden?
I think the Councilman Daniels is leading that under the Heights movement. And they are, to my understanding, they are continuing to plant a garden there.
Yeah, that's my understanding too, Madam Chair. My understanding is that that's private property, and an organization has an MOU to allow the Heights movement to do the garden work there. And that's my understanding, that they are planning to do so. I don't want to speak for Mr. Daniels and his organization, but that was my understanding, that they were going to do one there at Jackson, the little turn at Jackson. It's my understanding they were going to do one there.
Okay, so I know that we did have the garden originally at the turn at Jackson, and then it moved down further.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm not sure.
So we don't know what area is the Heights movement talking about the garden that was there last year?
That's
That
what I
area?
thought. That's what I thought. It's that same area. That was
But
my understanding.
that's not at the turn. That's down further near that that gray building trimmed in red. It's right next door to that.
So it's almost diagonal to where the Browns lived, or right across the street to where the Browns live. So maybe I consider it the turn, maybe not quite. Oh, I remember what you're referring. I remember you're referring to the We Thrive. They were closer to the turn. So yeah, that area where the garden was last year is the same area that I believe the Heights movement has that agreement with that. I can't remember the other organization that they're working with, but from the private landowner to use that land for gardening. But yeah,
So
where it was last year. That's my understanding. Keep that in mind. That's my understanding. I don't have the full details, so I can't speak fully to it.
so then what's going to happen with that other land that used to be We Thrive?
Yeah,
where we
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure who owns that land. I know that in economic development, we talked about having those maps and we can look at open land or vacant land. So if it's land that we own, our first priority in economic development is houses or commercial. And then what is left that we can't either build a house on or build business on, we definitely need to have some plan on what we need to do. So if it's recreation space, if it's whatever the committees or council come up with, I don't think that there's been a plan or there's not even a conversation about that particular area or any area outside of what we already know.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
That half an hour was so fast. I was almost going to burn my little supper up.
Okay.
Thank you. Let me see. Okay, so we're still under miscellaneous. There's not much recreation going on out here in Lincoln Heights right now. And a lot of it is because of the COVID-19. But I think that it would be nice that when we send out the letter to the residents, to ask them about beautification, to ask them about helping us to beautify the community. I mean, for years I've been wanting to plant flowers or something, and I know that now other people are on that same page and they would like to see flowers and stuff around the neighborhood. But I think it would be nice if we asked the residents, to help with the beautification, as well as for them to tell us what type of flowers they would like to see around in our community. Far as, planting, whether it be shrubbery or bushes or flowers or roses or whatever.
So, Madam Chair, do you know when the official cleanup day is for the village? Is it in May?
Yeah, May the 10th, I do believe.
May the 10th. That might be a good, what are we in, March, April, May? I'm not sure when the letters go out for that, but that might be a good opportunity to put that information even inside that cleanup day, clean up. And we encourage you to put out some flowers or, even beautifying their own land. And then as we're planning, because I don't think we've gotten to the point where we've even started the process of planning, for instance, the gateways and what they might look like and all that kind of things. Like none of that has started, but there is a component that all the residents will have an opportunity to have some say in that. to be able to kind of help that. I know we got some spots that some residents will go and do some flowers, like at the end of Adams, at that little flower pot that's there. I think it's a couple on Wayne and maybe one over there near Magnolia, I think is what it is, over there by the by Techview. So, and I think it's one at the top of the hill on Mangum by Centennial. And so we got some real big flower pots that, you know, residents can say, or they can just go plant, you know, plant some near them just to kind of up.
I hear what you're saying, but I still would, I think it would be nice to engage them in doing something, you know, with us. You know, we taking pride in our community together and doing things together, and the village providing what we need in order to make it happen. That would be a part of our recreation. And I mean, like, it'll be really good for bringing all ages of people together. So maybe we can get a slew of something to plant.
Yeah.
And then we all come together and get out there and make it happen.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
that's a good idea.
I think it is. And maybe you thinking doing it around the cleanup time would be good. I think that'd be a good idea too. I know, you know, that's always a big day. I mean, we're cleaning, we're planting. That's probably when I'll start planting. Usually you're supposed to start planting after Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
After Mother's Day.
Yeah.
But
Madam Chair,
yes.
one of the things that we've been talking to the tool bank about is bringing tools into the village to clean up. Like, we're having a lot cleanup on Stephan on I think the 1st of April. We're having volunteers from need to come and do that, help us do that. But one of the things they talked about for an ongoing basis is to have a container in the village with tools. Now, what that does not mean is that residents will come to the village to get tools. No, that's not what that means. What that means is that when there's an opportunity like this, when it's a collaborative effort and we're trying to do something positive in a big way together for the village, this might be a good way to, you'll have the tools in the village to do that work in a meaningful way.
Right.
So I just wanted to just share that with you, that it may not be as difficult to do that as people might think.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be a difficult project. I don't think that we should do it on March the 10th though, because it's going to be a lot of cleanup. I mean, you know, from the winter, and you know, it's just going to be a lot of cleanup. I think it'll be too much to try to do our normal cleanup as well as plant at the same time. But after our cleanup, when is Mother's Day?
Sure. But I think, Madam Chair, too, just to kind of say that if we let the residents know and ahead of time that during our cleanup, because we want them actually to start cleaning up before May 10th. May 10th just happens to be the official day. So Mother's Day is May 9th. So during our cleanup,
it's March the 10th is the cleanup. March the 10th. I think they chose.
You're referring to the cleanup on the one street. I'm talking about the community. So there's a community cleanup on May.
That's March. I thought it was March the 10th. The
May
community
10th.
Cleanup was March the 10th.
No, ma'am, it's May 10th. So we still got a couple months.
Okay, but I thought it was March. But it's May 10th. That's our date that we sent out to the residents saying that we want everything cleaned up by this particular date.
Yep. I don't know if May 10th is the date that we want everything cleaned up, or if May 10th is the date that we send out the notices. That one we'll have to figure out, but it's definitely during that time And if we let them know ahead of time that, you know, we're looking, you know, for everybody to spruce up their area or their block or what have you. And I do think that if we decide that we want to purchase extra foliage or extra flowers, that we'd have to go ahead and make a motion to council and then have council approve it, put it in the or pull it out of the budget so that we can go ahead and start making the purchases. That's something that we would have to do because we're spending the monies, and so we'd have to get that approved through council. But I don't think it'll be a problem. I think it's something nice that we can do, considering we haven't done much in recreation from the recreation committee.
Yeah, I think it's something, like I said, that can bring us as a community together, and we can be engaged in something together and do something together.
Yeah.
And we don't have any money in recreation right now. So really we could like look to see how much it would cost to purchase some plants.
So do you want a motion out of this committee for Ms. Powdrill to do that?
Yeah, either she can look or we can look. Where do you suggest we get some plants for, where we could buy in bulk?
Madam Chair, I would suggest that if it's going to be a community event, that we run it through the village manager and let the village manager do the research and come back and let us know what she's found. And then we make that motion to council to approve that purchase.
Okay. But if I'm not mistaken, since we don't have any money in recreation at all, we could say that this is the money that we want for recreation.
Yeah,
and it's still in the community.
Correct.
I don't even think we have to take it to council because we don't have any money.
We do have to take it to council because the funds are going to come out of the general fund. So anytime that we're looking to make any purchases or anything that's cost related, that's outside of what we have budgeted for, we do have to take that to council. So it does have to be a motion to council, and council then has to approve it.
Okay, but if I'm not mistaken, Laverne asked me to get with Ms. Powdrill to talk about what I would like to see happen in recreation. And then Ms. Powdrill was going to go straight to Donna to see if the money was available, because we don't have any money in recreation at all. Right, so if the money is there, council doesn't have to vote on it, I don't believe, because there's no money in recreation at all. None.
I understand that, but I think what we're saying is that we're saying that if we're going to make a purchase, so if we're going to look to purchase flowers so that residents can come and get flowers and put it in their yard or put it in their area and they block, that is something that was not budgeted for. And so therefore, yes, Ms. Powdrill and Donna will look through the budget to find resources based on what they come back with, which is numbers, that it still has to be voted on and approved through council, that's how we're going to.
Okay, that's fine. Ms. Powdrill, thank you, Councilwoman Keys.
You're welcome, Ms. Baber.
So Ms. Powdrill, when you look for, I hate this.
Yeah, something is wrong. I'm a mute.
Okay, so when you're looking to see what plants will be good, it's not stopping. We really want to plant in the flower pots, because that'll be easier far as the dirt is concerned, and plant. We need to know how many pots would we like to see around the village, and different areas. whether we're gonna do it down Leggett or down Douglas. If we are we going down just the side streets or down McGee, you know, that way it's beautification for everybody. Like down Wayne, down Douglas, down Leggett, down McGee, and down Mayhem. But they don't have to be, so we could do like every 3 streets. So then the three streets can do the ends of, you know what I'm saying? I mean, can you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So do you think that maybe I should go out and like count the streets, every 3 streets or something, and say how many pots that I'm looking to do or something?
So I think that would be nice if you would scope, because then that would allow me to budget better, to see how much you need. And I think it would be best if you decide what kind of plants you would like to have.
Well, see, that's where I wanted to engage the community and what plants.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Sometimes it's best to just you make the decision at a committee. I think finding a consensus on what plants is going to be quite, that's just my opinion, quite cumbersome. But if the committee did their own research and identified plants that would work best in the environment that you're locating for, probably would save us a lot of time and energy. And then we could buy the product and we would just get the residents to plant the product. And then service people could go around and make sure that they water the plants on a timely basis.
In the summertime, they almost need to be watered every day. That's the thing.
Madam Chair, that's what I'm saying. When you think about the plant, think about the maintenance of the plant. So I think for the group, it might be a better conversation.
Sorry.
A lot of people are not aware about plants. So, you know, it probably, if you are a plant person and somebody else on the committee or on the council who has that expertise, might be great to say, hey, let's just figure out what kind of vegetation would take a lot of sunlight, but still be beautiful and we able to maintain on a regular basis and take care of it, as opposed to going out, because I think it's going to be all over the place if you allow the residents to make that decision. I think you probably have enough expertise on council, or I mean, maybe even asking Jamal may be able to help you, or even wherever you decide to purchase, or we decide to purchase, the plants could give you a lot of expertise on what that should look like. And I'm more than happy to go with you to kind of have that conversation. That's fine. But I think including the residents, I think the residents will be just happy and excited to see some beautiful flowers.
Okay. So I'll ride the community and look at where I feel some pots will look good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so that everybody can enjoy.
Yeah, and I Madam Chair, I also, what I have seen in communities is nice. It's probably better to have fewer big pots, massive pots, as opposed to having a lot of pots everywhere. I think they will stand out if you have the bigger pots and they're decorated nicely and that the service department can take care of. I think they'll be noticeable for the residents. That's just my opinion, but you can decide once we get out there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we would like to do this by Mother's Day. So let me see, what would be what would be a good time for me to at least ride the neighborhood and get back to you with the areas that I think would be nice.
I think that's going to depend on your schedule, Madam Chair.
Well, I'm going to make myself available. I'm just saying, how much time do you think that you would need for me to get the information to you in order to make it happen by Mother's Day?
I'm not sure how long it would take to make it happen because I've never done it before. So I think this will be a journey for the both of us. I think being respectful of your time and my time and other things in the village, I think we should together figure out, just hold each other accountable to a timeline that's reasonable for each of us.
I think I should be able to have that information by April the 1st. So by the next committee meeting.
Okay.
I think I'll be able to have that information by then, if not before. Okay.
Okay. And if I find something out before, I'll send you an email that might be helpful to help us move the process along and expedite it. I'll let you know, and I'll send that information to you. Is that okay, Madam Chair?
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Did someone say something? Okay. So, do we have any announcements?
Madam Chair, I don't have any announcements at this time.
Okay, anybody else?
Madam Chair, I don't have any.
All right, what about you, Ms. Lisa? You got any announcements? Mr. Daniels, I see you here. When did you get here?
Oh, maybe about the last
5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Hey, Mr. Daniels, since you're here, can you tell us which garden are you working on? Is it the garden that was where it was last year?
Yes, ma'am. On Jackson.
So do you know when you'll be planting?
Yeah, they'll start in April. We have a timeline. I can give the timeline. Just bear with me while I'm driving.
Oh no, we don't want you doing anything while you're driving. You could just tell us about it the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll just send it in the email. That's fine.
Okay, so if there's no announcements, did you have an announcement, Mr. Daniels?
Just on my tab for the radio piece for Juneteenth, that the quote was between their only issue is how much advertising time we would need beforehand. But just a simple, if we just wanted to come out that day of, it would be $1,500, and then any other extra radio promotion time beforehand, it could increase the price. So that was just my task from Juneteenth, from a radio perspective. That's all I had.
Okay, we still do want to do something with Juneteenth, Mr. Daniels, but I don't know if we want to do it far as with the radio. We want to talk with the residents to see what they would like us to do
Yes, ma'am.
for that June the 19th. Because we need our money right now for beautification. Okay? All right. So if there's nothing else, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Or
Madam
Ms. Lisa?
Chair? Yes, I'm sorry. I was taking notes, and Councilman Daniels broke up. He said it was $1,500. Did he say what radio station that was?
Radio One.
He got Radio One. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We're not going to be using them.
I
But
know,
thank
just
you,
for
Mr.
the
Daniels.
records.
I know. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lisa. Okay. Motion that we adjourn.
So move.
Second. It's been moved and second. Any questions? All right. Y'all have a blessed one.
Thank you. You
Good
too.
night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.